Good morning. Today is Wednesday, 22nd April 2020. Let's see Unit 5 School Life. Volume is Strength. Let's see Unit 5. Unit 5 is School Life. Spectre Learning. Read in composed sense. Put it into practice the regular and irregular verbs. Apply the grammar according to the defined tense, developing the sense mentioned in the exercise. Let's see the objective. I can talk about school rules. Okay? This is the Unit 5 School Life. And grammar focus is must. Let's see must. Must means duty in the context of obligation. Look at the example. You must wash your hands before you eat. In Spanish say, tú debes lavarte las manos antes de comer. Okay, let's see the grammar. The grammar say of the verb must. Must is a modal verbs together with may, can, etc. This means that they normally require another verb to complete the meaning. Look at the example is, we must study for the chemistry test. Okay, this is the first example. En Spanish say, nosotros debemos estudiar para el examen de química. Okay, this is how to use must. The must is the grammar verb. Okay, and this must is the modal verb together with may and can. Characteristics. The characteristics I have 5. Okay? Number 1 characteristic is it is followed by infinitive verb without to, except be able to, need to, have to, and ought to. This is my first characteristic. Number 2 is the third person singular does not bear s in the present simple. Okay? Number 3 is, do you not need to add the auxiliary do or does for the interrogative and negative form. Number 4, it does not have compound or progressive time. Okay? And number 5 characteristic is it has no infinitive. Okay? Next. Let's see right here the auxiliary must can express. Okay? My auxiliary must, you express the obligation. Obligation, the duty. Look at the example, say, I must attend this meeting. En Spanish say, debo o tengo que asistir a esta reunión. Okay? Next example is, he must pay his taxes before the end of the month. En Spanish say, tiene que pagar sus impuestos antes del fin de mes. Okay? This is an obligation. Another is centrally or a logical conclusion. What is a logical conclusion? It is late. He must be at home now. This is my example English. And Spanish say, ya es tarde. Debe de estar en su casa ahora. Next example in English say, the hardware works fine. It must be a software problem. En Spanish say, el hardware funciona correctamente. Debe ser un problema de software. The next auxiliary must is, it is negative form. Mustn't is negative. Always express prohibition. Okay, what is express prohibition? You mustn't talk to a stranger kid. This is the example English. And Spanish say, no debes hablar con desconocidos, niño. Okay, this is the auxiliary must can express. Number one is obligation. Number two, is logical conclusion. And number three, it is negative form mustn't. The mustn't is spread prohibition. Is a negative. Okay? Next. Conjugation of the verb must. Conjugation of the verb must is, the conjugation of must is special, can only be conjugated in the verb tense. Simple present. Okay? Simple present is like the rest of the modal verb. The modal verb or the verb must is not at as in the third person singular. Let me repeat again. How to use a present simple, how conjugation the verb must. Like the rest of the modal verbs, the verb must is not at as in the third person. In the third person. This is my table. Conjugation. See? And Spanish. I must. Yo debo. You must. Tú debes. He must. Él debe. We must. Nosotros debemos. You must. Vosotros debéis. And they must. Ellos deben. See? This is conjugation the verb must. See? And use pronouns and then must and how conjugation. Okay? This is the present simple. Next. Right here is a negation in sense with must. Okay? This is negation the sense and must. The negation is formed with the verb not. How to use? Look at right here to one example, English and Spanish. You must not go out at night. And Spanish say, no debes salir por las noches. Okay? Conjugation of the verb must or construction of the verb must is must not. Construction is mustn't. See? You use must not or mustn't. Whatever you want. This or this. It's the same. Okay? This is the negation in sense must. Next. Conjugation of the verb to have to. How to use to have to? Look, to have to, The conjugation of must is expression can only be conjugated in the verb tense. Simple present, okay? Simple present is like the rest of the modal verbs. The verb must is not at a s in the third person. How to use conjugation? Right here is pronouns and then must. And this is Spanish. I must, yo debo. You must, tú debes. He must, él debe. We must, nosotros debemos. You must, vosotros debéis. And they must, ellos deben. This is verb to have to. Present, simple, how conjugate, and must. Okay? Next. Grammatic instruction. The grammatic instruction you have affirmative and negative. Okay? The affirmative, the table say subject plus must plus verb in infinitive to plus complete. Okay? Look at right here. Is the subject, must, and verb, and your complement. And negative is subject, must not, plus verb in infinitive to, plus complement. Okay? You do must not or mustn't. Okay? Right here is affirmative. Affirmative is I must do. Negative, I mustn't do. You must do. Right here is you mustn't not do or you mustn't do. Right here is he must do, is he mustn't not do. And then he mustn't do. The next is she must do and she mustn't not do. Or she mustn't do. Next, it must do or it must not do or it mustn't do. Next, we must do or we mustn't not do or we mustn't do. The next, you must do or we must not do or he mustn't do. This is the grammatic instruction, affirmative and a negative. Okay? Next. Interrogative is must plus subject plus verb in infinitive to plus complement plus aside. Okay? This is the table. Interrogative. Number 1 is positive and right here is negative. Must I do? Mustn't do. And affirmative, must you do? And negative, mustn't you do? And affirmative, must he do? Negative, mustn't he do? Next, must he do? And mustn't she do? The next is must he do? Negative, mustn't he do? And affirmative, must we do? Mustn't we do? And the last is must you do? And negative, mustn't you do? This is in a interrogative, positive and negative, and use must. Okay? How to use and do the question. Next, the example affirmative sense See, and negative sense and interrogative sense. In English and Spanish. And English say, you must hurry up. Spanish, debes apresurarte. The next, she must pay for all the expenses. Spanish, debes pagar todos los gastos. The next, you must not worry. It is bad for your health. Spanish, no debes preocuparte. Es malo para tu salud. And a negative sense say, you mustn't be hungry. And Spanish, tú no debes estar molesto. The next, they mustn't go to the party. Spanish, no debes ir a la fiesta. Next, he must not talk like that. Spanish, él no debe hablar así. Next, I must not play this game. Spanish, yo no debo jugar este juego. Next, let's see interrogative sense. Is the question English and Spanish. Number 1 is, must she take the children with her to Houston? En Spanish say, ella debe llevar a los niños con ella a Houston. Number 2, the question, must he lend us the money which we need? Spanish, él debe prestarnos el dinero que necesitamos. An example, a next question is, must she be back by noon? En Spanish say, ella debe regresar para el mediodía. The next is the question, must she turn later? En Spanish say, ella debe regresar más tarde. Okay, this is example affirmative sense, negative sense, and interrogative sense. Okay?